Hey guys, Nogrul here with another video for YouTube, you guys. I'm just opening up a new thing and part of building, and this is going to show you guys what I have in mind for the upcoming event league that is called Flashback. And I will play this thing in hardcore, so I'm gonna try to make it a bit more defensive, not like a super Nazi character. So I'm gonna show you what I'm about to do. Like, I'm gonna start as a Scion. We're gonna pick up melee damage and strength, going for the 3 resistances, and Sentinel for even more resist. That's 28 total resist. That is gonna help you out in the early game, and we can get rid of these points later as well. So this is really good. We're going towards strength, picking up life definitely since we're in hardcore. Whenever we feel like we need a bit more life, you just add one of these nodes. If you don't feel safe, you add more life. At the very end, it will probably look like this, or somewhat like this. Then we're continuing going down here, not picking up the jewel socket right away, and developing the build in this direction to master of the arena, because we really fastly want to hit Art of the Gladiator for the attack speed and accuracy rating that you will need when you level this as a dual wield Sunder character. It starts out as Sunder. Then you pick up more of the dual wield damage, go down here, pick up Golem's Blood at first, and then you continue here towards Life Leech nodes. Very, very helpful. Progressing here, picking up Life and Thick Skin. Going up here since we're very defensive, and trust me, you don't need more damage in hardcore. Picking up Herbalism as well. And then from this point onward, you might want maybe some extra damage. So what you can do next, for example, what I will likely do, is get me some attack speed right here in Berserking. And then I'll go in this direction and pick me up some Warrior's Blood. I'm gonna pick me up some life right here, going for Born to Fight, melee damage, and Strong Arm. At this point we're still all sundering, so we're 2 one-handed axes Sunder basically. Then you are going towards here, picking up the life nodes, going in this direction, and probably at this point you're level, what do you need, required level 45. You might have some accuracy issues, so you pick up Resolute Technique at this point. From that point onward, we are developing the build with, if we have some jewel sockets, we're gonna pick up this jewel socket, we're gonna pick up this jewel socket, and we're gonna pick up this jewel socket. At that point we are around level 52, still on Sunder, sundering around. Might not need any additional accuracy nodes because we have Resolute Technique. Then if you feel like you're lacking some more damage, you're now going for this, picking up Weapon Artistry, more dual wield damage right here, Finesse and Heart of Oak. Really good nodes. Once you're here, you're around level 60. So that means that's around the end of Act 8. And the only things you have is basically like 138% life. You have a total of, I don't know how much to rest, but quite a bit. You can even add some more here, picking up Cloth and Chain, if you have difficulties finding gear early on. And with this setup, level 62, you're at the end of Act 8, you're starting to grind on the Blood Aqueduct. So let's check out what the skills says at this point. We're gonna simulate it with the 5 link, because I don't think you can pick up 6 link in that time. So we're likely having a level 15-ish 5 link or something. So we're going for level 15 Sunder with... wait a second, I'll need to add an item first. I'm gonna create me like a... just... See, I think we're just gonna pick like a one-hand physical axe. But this is Runic Hatchet, you can technically only use this on level 71 and above, so I'm gonna decrease the physical damage a bit. I'm just gonna say it's a very badly rolled runic hatchet, and instead of it, it's a well rolled level 60 something X. We're adding this to build, and in the second hand, oh sorry, we're gonna add a one-handed elemental scepter. If we have that. Elemental scepter, void scepter. This is another level 68 weapon, so we're gonna decrease the values a bit to simulate the shittier weapon then. And we don't need crit chance on that, we rather want to have like, for example, increased cold damage or increased elemental damage, something like this probably. For very simple basic shit static. So we got some cold damage, some crit multi, we got decent attack speed and some elemental with attacks, and some elemental damage on the scepter itself, 40%, that's what we're aiming for here. So we're gonna add this to build on the second, and then we're gonna pick up Sunder on the 5 link with concentrated effect. Where is it? Melee Fizz, Multi-Strike, and Ruthless. Like this, you'll have... Wait a second. We're not quite right yet. Thunder Conk, Melee Fizz, Multi-Strike, Ruthless. That should be the 5 link of ours. Like this, you have a total DPS of around 11k, and that's not a lot, but it's definitely enough to clear Blood Aqueduct. You can definitely farm Blood Aqueduct with that Sunderer, and on this level you are, what, level 62? So say you don't have any life items, your total life is a bit low. What you definitely want to have is like some items that give you some decent low life shit, but I don't want to fill it all in here right now. So that's the starting point to grind on Blood Aqueduct, and you hit 100%, 4.4 attack rate with around 3k damage around each head, or 2.5k damage. It's gonna be super fast, like thundering stuff apart, and it's gonna work. Trust me, it's gonna work. You also leech some life and some mana, so it's all fine. So, once you're at that point, you want to transition into Reave. That means you go down here and you start picking up sword nodes. More sword nodes. And you go down here and you pick up more sword nodes. And then you swap out your Sunder, because basically this didn't get any damage from this, obviously. But then you swap out your Sunder for Reave. And instead of Conk, you take increased critical damage. And instead of... no, the rest can actually quite be like this for a moment. Let's just say it's like this. You just need another color on your 5 link then. And you will want Arms Might? Yeah, at this point you want the Arms Might. So this likely gonna only cost you like some chaos. Let's say it's like medium, mid-high rolls. And we add it to build. And you want the Arms Might in your main hand. Then you can use Reave, and Reave, you see, will, like with these sword nodes, boost your damage to around 20k, probably, or 70k it says here. With some elemental scepters too. Then your other links are not yet in place, and these are Hatred, these are Herald of Ice, Person Hit, and Assassin's Mark. And Ice Bite. Should work like this. Should work like this. Or you can leave out the Ice Bite. Let's just do it like this for a moment. You have your Herald of Ice, Person Hit, Assassin's Mark set up. Then you'll have a Blood Rage. And then you'll definitely have an Ice Golem. And what else did I miss? Like cast when damage taken, Immortal Call, stuff like that is pretty much obligatory. That will be your whole setup. So now you're looking towards like 27k total DPS. Now let's do it like this. We're going to the Reave and we're gonna raise them levels and we're gonna finish up the build. Just doing it step by step so you guys can basically see the entirety of the build is not as complicated and you don't need the items and the endgame tree right away. So next up, we're gonna skip Resolute Technique and pick up the crit nodes. And we're also picking up Heartseeker right here, picking up some more Jewel Socket in progress as well. And getting more endurance charges here and there. And we are now level 95. So let's say this is absolute endgame now. And now you say like, how the fuck will you hit though? You don't have the accuracy, you have only 85% hit chance. So now I'm gonna show you guys what we are ascending into. And that's what makes this build pretty cool for hardcore as well, I think. You're gonna ascend into Juggernaut, which will also increase your damage since you're using endurance charges and you're getting some more endurance charges. And we're gonna get Slayer, and that will increase your leech. You'll have Culling Strike, you cannot die from Reflect Physical, and it is more area, which is really good for your Reave as well. So you get more, this is like perfect, it's a super good combination. I just heard this evening that Demigod King as well made it to level 100 on his Scion using Juggernaut and Slayer together. Basically doing the same combo, running this on Sword skill set. I'm not sure how similar my tree is to his, probably a bit. What you will do next after this, like let's assume you have Merciless Ascendancy, you're high enough level, you're gonna do overlap, sorry. And you're gonna start out on Path of the Duelist. Because right here we can pick up some nice balanced nodes instead of these resist nodes, which we then don't need anymore. So basically we're starting out here. And then we can safely reduce away those nodes. So basically you're a Scion, but you're actually starting as a duelist, basically. The only thing why you're a Scion is because of double Ascendancy. And like this you only need required level 88. So I can reduce the level now, it doesn't need to be as high as before. But the build works exactly like this, so you're actually not starting in any Scion starting area. Just gonna start as a duelist and you're just gonna basically have the exact duelist tree that I had for my last Reaver, but with the twist of you're a Scion and therefore you're having a lot more survivability. So you got your Reave also, I forgot the Val Reave. New Val Reave. Again, Val Reave as well. And then let's say you get a 6-link. And if you get a 6-link on this, you will have to basically pick main. There's other options that could be considered. Depending on how much elemental damage you do, could go elemental with attacks. You could also consider converting some of your damage. Don't feel it's as good. Plain added fire could be really good as well. In my opinion, if this socket is another red one, it would be really good because Conk Effect, I'm not a fan of it, not on Reave. It adds a ton of damage, but we don't want it here, so I'm gonna with main. So we have Melee Fist, Motor Strike, Ruthless, main, Reave, increased crit, on Herald of Ice Assassin's Mark, and now that means we need to configure this. We're using power charges, we're using endurance charges, and we are most likely having Fortify, because this should be set up with our Whirling Blades that I forgot to mention. And we have killed recently, and our crit chance is lucky because we're as often as we can pushing our increased duration Diamond Flask that we'll obviously get. So this build only has an Unsmite and some weird Elemental Scepter rare shit drop that you don't need, and as you can see our average damage is around 25k on the Reave. bringing our total DPS to 157k. And the thing that you might have an issue with now is your survivability, since you're playing in hardcore, or if you're going for the build. So you're only at 3.3k life. Obviously, if you'd have other items than only the weapons, which we will now add, this would be better. So let's say it's a league start and we don't have access to Kaom's Heart or some super expensive shit. We're just gonna assume that for the 6 link we have, since it's red based, we need a red 6 link or like a red rare item. So I'm gonna go with a armor, say armor chest, so with a glorious blade here, and saying this thing has like, you're trying to aim for a glorious blade with 90 plus life and some good armor and maybe some resist. Let's just add some proxy fire resist and some even worse lightning resist. Crafting this all for budget. So we get an armor chest, it's a body armor and it has some decent resist and 90 life, and it has the sockets that we need. Like our main socket is in there. For skills here we can now say the Reave is socketed in our body armor. There we go. Body armor is now as we want it, and all of a sudden we are already up to 3.5k life. Now you also will probably not have steel rings right away, so we're just gonna assume you're using iron rings. Can you even... cannot even use iron rings in here. Yeah, let's say you're using diamond rings. You're using diamond rings because of the crit. Let's say you have diamond rings with like 40 something life, some physical damage to attacks, make it low, and then you'll have some useless stats. Increased elemental would be great, but you'll not have that on league start. So let's say you'll have like mana, and then you get like all resist, because that makes things easier. Let's just say it's 12% or 11% all resist. Gonna add one of these rings and another one of these rings. 2 diamond rings, bam, you're up to around 170k total DPS. This is rare shit gear that you pick up from the floor. Literally, you don't need a lot of currency for this. Then next up, for your, let's say, amulet, you will want a lapis amulet, because as you can see already, you'll need a ton of intelligence that you don't have. So you're going to check for a lapis amulet, and optimally it would be if your lapis amulet has life on it, some physical damage to attacks, and some additional intelligence even. Let's try to fix a lot of our intelligence problems like this. We add this to the build, we just say it has only 3 stats, we crafted it ourselves, whatever. It should be affordable to get a lapis amulet like this. We're still missing some intelligence. For that we can still pick up with some of the glade right here, and if we want to, like, the hit chance is almost perfect like this, we don't really need more accuracy, but if we would want to have more stats in general and some more attack speed as well, mana cost fix issues here as well, we get 1% more hit chance even of this. We could pick up versatility, and all of a sudden we are on the needed intelligence. So this would work. You at least have options. Now you need level 91 for this. Okay, let's go back to the items. For gloves, you might want some Duressos. What's it called? It's not, no, it's Maligaros. Virtuosity, there we go. Maligaro's Virtuosity gives you attack speed, gives you some dex, gives you global crit chance, crit multi. Really good. That's really good. It's like in super late game you will have way better alternatives, even rare alternatives that are better. Let's just say we're using Maligaro's Virtuosity for now. Our total deeps is almost at 200k. Now, what else did we miss? Check for a belt. The belt, best in slot belt is probably Nomad. If you can afford to get a Nomad, it would be really great because it gives you all res. It couldn't, not Nomad. Projectile attack damage? No, that's not what I mean. I mean the other one then. How is it called again? the belt, magnet, the nomad, the tactician. There we go. So tactician could be one of your best choices for this, because the tactician will give you another good bite of intelligence, and if you hit 200 intelligence, which is not that hard, you'll have some increased crit chance, increased global crit chance, or increased crit chance. All rest for the strength and crit chance for the int, and you'll get flask charges, you get strength and intelligence, you get global physical damage. Solid belt. Just a really solid belt. I'm not sure how expensive it's gonna be. If you can't use the tactician, you can just go with a rustic sash and some nice life on it or so. Will help as well, will work. Then for the boots, we most likely wanna use we're not on belt. Most likely want to use Calm's Roots, because they just have so much life. Cannot be slowed, cannot be knocked back, has a lot of life, is exactly what we need. Unwavering Stance will rust that again, give me a second. Cannot evade, cannot be stunned. Yeah, that's fine, we don't really want to evade at all. Since we're using Calm's Roots though, on this build, since we're using Calm's Roots, we might as well just pick those 2 points up and convert all our evasion rating to armor. Yay! So we're getting around like 800 armor from this and minus 4% fist damage reduction, which is nice. We're not using the evasion that we're using anyways. And this makes the build like a 93 build. So with Calm's Roots and all that, we are now on 4.6k life and we still don't have a helmet. Let's just say we're using what is good at this point. We're needing some resist, so we're gonna use a rare. Well, let's just say we're using a rare helmet that fixes our res. Helmet, any type. Where's helmet? There we go. Helmet. Let's say we're having Eternal Bourgeois. I don't really care if it has a ton of armor. Let's say it has some armor, then it has definitely like a lot of max life, like 80 something. And we're having some good resists on that. Let's say we're missing like 15 fire res. Obviously you're not gonna find a tri-res Bourgeois with some good life. I'm just doing this right now to fix the res easily. You could do it in many other ways as well. For example, the amulet I'm using has only 3 stats and stuff like that. You could have more res on your rings. You'll find better gear than what I'm putting in here right now. Let's say we're having some cold res as well, and we're having some lightning res in the middle somewhere. And add this to build, and we are almost res capped. Let's just say we are res capped. We're making it easier. Cold resist needs to be 4% higher. Wait a second. We can fix that. Armor, there we go. Do this. Fix this. Save. I mean, obviously you will not have that Bourgeois. You'll have some helmet and you'll have some bit better other gear. Okay, so you're using like what is this totaled? Let's see. I'm gonna check out and check out trade, and we'll say hardcore bestiary, arms, might, well rolled though. We want a pretty well rolled one. So we're saying this is 25 chaos. Let's just say it's 25 chaos. Get a 25 chaos arms might. Then you'll have Calm's Roots for good life roll. Let's say you get a 25 chaos Calm's Roots as well. That's 50 chaos. And then you'll have What else? Tactician. Oh, Tactician is pretty fucking expensive. Okay, so go with a rare rustic sash then. Change that up. I wouldn't have thought it's so expensive actually. And in regular pasture is only going for 15 chaos. Probably rarer to find, I don't know. You can make it yourself, I think, as well in some way. So maybe we'll just Google that or so. Let's just calculate it with 25 as well. To add a bit on top of it, because I think the one person that's selling one right now for 1 Exalted is a bit over the top there. So you're having 75 plus Maligaro's virtuosity is like 1 chaos, so 76 chaos, let's say 80, it's rounded up to 80. 80 chaos worth of gear, and the other stuff is stuff that you can literally pick up from the ground and will likely have picked up from the ground at that point when you have farmed some blood aqueduct. And you're at a total of around 4.8k life. If you would be going as high in hardcore, 93 is obviously for that life, you can't make it to 93 on that life. So you probably for a hardcore build would take 3 nodes here and not get the attack speed, for example, or respec that into life, and all of a sudden you're at 5.2, and if you need to get more life, even you could get life here, and if you need more life you could get life here, and you can play this all day basically getting life anywhere. So there's more options for you to get life. So let's say this is level 98 build now. With getting all the life that you could get, you're on 6k life. And that is on shit gear, literally. That is on literally shit gear. Because this is like, in my opinion, like every decent player that is able to survive until mapping should be able to farm this setup in 1 day. In mapping. So basically you get to mapping in 1 day, on the second day you should be able to have this. And that means this build is definitely viable as a starter. As you can see, our total damage, wait a second, we forgot the flasks. Total damage is now at around 190k already. Now if you add some unique flasks that are easily achievable, like for example an Aziri's Promise, doesn't really matter if it like super well rolled, let's just say you have a decent rolled one, Aziri's Promise, and it's on, bam, you're at 223 all of a sudden. Because this is just insane. Now let's say you're having a diamond flask. Do we need to craft this? I guess. Craft item, rare, flask, utility, diamond flask, create, duration, experiment this diamond flask of iron skin. There you go, add to build and say to build, and this is activated as well. With that activated you have a nice armor as well. Your total physical damage reduction is around 66% with your endurance charges as well. So it's pretty fucking tanky. It looks less tanky than it actually is. And you say you pick up one more unique flask, then it's definitely Alliance War. That will boost up the cost to around 100 chaos then total. So you're getting Alliance War for the more melee physical damage. Because that more multiplier is insane and boosts you up to around 273k. And then you're also not using any jewels yet. So if you're starting out then crafting this perfectly, you could say you want to craft a jewel, which is obviously Abyss Jewel, because in this event you will be able to loot a lot of good stuff, including Abyss Jewels from Abyss modded maps. So you're picking up Abyss Jewels. Can I get a... That's sometimes so hard to feel. Abyss Jewel, here we go. Picking up like a Murderous Eye Jewel, I guess is the best one for this. Let me think. Yeah, I think Murderous Eye, and then we're picking up maximum life on that jewel, flat. And we're picking up physical damage to sword attacks, for example. And if you're super GG, like if you say this is the most GG jewel of anything, then you boost up attack speed as well and put up some all rest, for example. Like, or put in some, if it's all rest is almost not as ridiculous as putting in some physical damage. Like, this would be too OP for the else that I've crafted here, so I'm just gonna say we're not having the other stats. We're just gonna have some useless rest for us at this point, and we're missing out on the physical damage to attacks as well. And then we're gonna add this jewel here, and just gonna proxy add 4 of these jewels. And then this boosts you up to 300k total DPS on shit gear, guys. On shit gear. With only Reave. On a crit build, on shit gear. Your other flask choices, what is decent and could help you a bit is a block flask. You could get like Rumi's concoction. Granite flask that will also give you some block, that's decent. Or you could get like for example a movement speed flask instead of that, which you most likely will. So I'd likely rather, you ask me, I'd rather get a movement speed flask, drop the roomies. Craft item, we're gonna go flask utility and craft us some Quicksilver flask. And obviously since we're using bestiary, it's super easy to get a increased duration with movement speed. Increase movement speed, there we go. So that's your duration movement speed flask. And then your last will obviously be a life flask, seething, crafted, well, then flask, flask life, divine, and life flask. And we're gonna say seething, divine life flask of staunching. For the bleed immunity, because you are already freeze immune, but like this you are bleed immune as well. Or as far as I see, or let me see. Cannot be chilled, cannot be stunned. You're not freeze immune, you're chill immune though. You could probably get freeze immunity on your movement as well though, if you would want to. It's probably a better choice, a bit more defensive. And there you go, you have a build that can probably... Wait a second, I forgot one thing. You forgot to put some more intelligence somewhere. So let's say we reach the 200 intelligence here as well, because this boosts our crit further with the tactician. And if we cannot afford the tactician, as I said, we are on rustic sash. Let's just pick a rustic sash for comparison. Actually, I'm gonna go with a belt. If you say you're gonna go with a rustic sash, you could pick up maximum life on that. 70 plus rustic sash with increased elemental to attacks. And some flask life recovery rate, and some fire, cold, lightning, or fire lightning resist. Let's say it's like this, and you don't need the GG helmet again. And then you're gonna switch out the tactician for the rustic sash. You're still rest capped. And you have even more life, and you lost only around 20k damage. You only lost the tip of the iceberg there. As you can see, you can definitely play this on a rustic sash as well. So a total setup here probably worth around 100 chaos. It's a very fucking cheap budget build, and it can scale up indefinitely, because what you have here now is complete shit gear, complete another shit gear, right? So this is what the build would look like if you really don't invest like a heck ton of money into it. But if you say survive for a while and want to invest something into this, you could craft yourself something like a scepter, for example a void scepter, and then you say it is a shaper scepter. Is it shaper? I think it's shaper. And then you say it's super fucking GG and gives you percentage damage as fire damage, and also gives you percentage damage as lightning damage. And it also gives you like elemental damage with attack skills. And then it also gives you like, what else do we have? Damage penetrates, ally resists, or physical damage is extra. And like, this is obviously completely ridiculous. We're just gonna ridiculous this build out to see what happens if like you'd have the most GG ever fucking build. Probably this is not even possible. But let's say you'd have that and you'd use that void scepter instead. And this would boost your damage like 150k. And if you then go and craft yourself like a really good, super awesome, not even possible kind of thrusting one-hand sword, for example a jewel foil, and say you pick up like, what do you want shape? No, you can basically pick up a normal one and say you have percentage increased physical damage on 160, and you say you'd have flat physical damage on a decent roll, say like this. And then you'd add increased ally with attacks, and you would add increased critical strike chance, and you would add global crit multi, and you would add attack speed. Like, this is the most GG foil someone could craft if you max all of these out. And add that to the build and switch that for Arm Smite, and you'll see the total DPS rises up to 580k. So, and this is only swapping out the weapons. So the possibilities of you, if you survive on that build and get a bit further, then the possibilities of you pushing that even way further on really good gear is super high. And if you would be able to pick up, for example, a Belly of the Beast 6 link at some point, and just simulate that as well. Picking up a Belly of the Beast 6 link with, I don't care for the armor, but we'll say we're gonna have 40% max life, GG, and GG res. And swap that out for our regular glorious blade here. This will boost your life to around 7k. So the possibilities of making this build even way more awesome with the gear you're finding are endless. And starting out on this build, in the first 3 days of the league you'll only need to farm around 50 to 100 chaos, which should be really affordable if you make it and you survive. And the cool thing really is that as I started it, you can level this build on Sunder. Sunder is fast, Sunder is reliable, and you will not die on a Sunderer super easy in hardcore leveling. So leveling this as Sunder, picking up a lot of life, picking up every node that you already need anyways, and then in the endgame you always need to change nothing. You're resetting like 5 nodes maybe, you're getting intelligence if needed, you're getting more life if needed, you're getting more damage if needed, but the core of this build will not change, and it's like the same build that I played on my Reaver in the last league, or in the ongoing Bestiary League, and I'm doing this on a Scion now, because Scion is super fucking safe. With the leech you get, and the additional accuracy you have, and you cannot be chilled, not be stunned, you have all these endurance charges, and you'll also, if immune to Fizz Reflect, you can run Fizz Reflect maps, and you have more area The overleech rate is just insane. Like, this is a really solid build in my opinion. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This will be my flashback build that I will play in the flashback event race, and I'll just need to figure out the very details. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. You can visit me almost every day on www.twitch.tv/Nogrul. Peace.